500 years ago, in the city of Milan, paintings commissioned for the dining room of the monastery. Subject to position, the last supper of Jesus of the disciples. The work they nurtured over 45 years was to revolutionize Western art.
There are a few neat breaks in this art. Leonardo's last episode is logic, this rigor, this mathematical purity. It would be astonishing. It would be like seeing first computer virtual reality or first cinema scope. Just think of the effect of walking in and feeling the enduring presence of Christ and the disciples who were doing essentially what they were doing, feeding themselves.
From moment completed, the last supper was hailed as a masterpiece. Soon painting came to regard as almost a sacred subject matter.
What's amazing about the Last Supper is that it seems to speak outside Christianity as well as within it. There are emotional values and theatrical values in this painting that go far beyond Christian belief.
By the turn of the 20th century, the last supper was used in the most famous Christian art in the world. Its glory almost turned to dust in the inhumanity of war. The attacks on the painting's integrity were not finished.
Perhaps the greatest talk about the Last Supper is the Vinci Code. It is a misreading of the Last Supper. It's a kind of exploitation of the myth of Leonardo and those paintings. It's too bad.
For all its endure, the last supper story is not quite decay and destruction. It is one survival and adaptation. More than half a millennium after its creation, shockwaves from paintings artistic explosion still resonate as loud as bombs.
The Last Supper constitutes who we are. The Last Supper creates who we are. I think in some ways one lost consciousness at the beginning of the Last Supper.
You don't have to travel far today to see the last supper. Or in some cases, even untold, is one of the group artworks that was soon enough to view. From the very first years of existence, the great mural has been ripe for exploitation. First it's copied out of reverence, then laughs, and finally it's so genius. Yet still each year, 250,000 people make a pilgrimage to Milan to see the original. The monastery of Santa Maria Grazia is today a shrine to a painting. Inside its former factory, visitors are allowed just 15 minutes in the presence of the Holy Virgin. What they see are probably the most famous painting in the world, written for the same artist, Mona Lisa. Nearly 30 feet long by 15 feet high, the last supper has the entire width of the north wall. It interferes larger than life size. But this mural is now lighted open, but it tells a dark story. It is the last supper Jesus tells the disciples that one of them will soon betray.
Looking at, it centers on this moment of betrayal when Christ is going to betray the identified suffering of Judas. But it's not like a snapshot. It's not a frozen training or a story like that. It also recalls in time echoes of the past story and things to come.
All 12 disciples are present in the painting, but the main players of the Easter story cluster around Christ. John, who will mourn at the cross. Peter, who later will slice off the ear of Jesus as Savior. And Judas, the traitor, touches money bag that contains the spoils of betrayal. Christ himself sits isolated, enigmatic, haloed by light.
In fact, Leonardo has worked out a sound visual correlative for an enormous mass of Christian saga, where the cross used to go point, or the rosary used to go from beat to beat. In this particular case, the eye rose free as the main points of certain crystal scenes in the Lord play, and then it keeps returning in a very specifying way to the simple finger.
The last supper is justly served as a high point of Western culture, of humanity and enlightenment, but it owes its very existence to the ambition and pride of the 15th century particular.
Milan at the end of the 15th century was a city of some 100,000 people. Louis also was very strong with the old-style despot of the Italian city states, the strong, autocratic, top of the pyramid type of ruler.
Ludovico, known as the immoral or more because of his dark coloring, was no stranger to shady arts and politics. He found power in Milan when his young nephew rightfully died in mysterious circumstances. The city of Ludovico ruled as the largest and most prosperous in Italy, but most distinguishing commerce in art and architecture. Milan's cathedral was a vast and expensive building, with an old-fashioned Gothic design. It was time Ludovico decided that Milan's art showed itself worthy of such a mighty city, and its ruler. One of the ways in which talented rulers recognized by their capacity to recognize talent in artists, Ludovico Moro is very important in transforming art scene in Milan. It's very important to clean and see aside what's happening in Milan at that point. Ludovico had his eye on one hand in place of the focus of artistic revolution. His local monastery. On the Gothic church was extended and crowned with a breathtaking new dome. The friar's dining room was completely rebuilt. The Moors' motives were typically mixed.
Basically, people learned that they paid for it, reservation of a building or work of art. They achieved a few years of their time quickly. So, yes, it's art. Yes, it's building fires. He also himself.
Ludovico hired local artists to build constructions in one of his new factory. But it was the opposite war that was immortalized in Moore's name. Telling me the artist employed this time was not local. Yet in one spring 1452, a small possibility of Vinci. Fitting it for a man whose last supper was to reinvent so much, he was outside from the very start.
Leonardo was a diligent judge, and rather as with the practical education, we might now feel this is a beneficial impediment, and that Leonardo's legitimacy prevented him from entering the mainstream of Florentine mortal's life.
Around the age of 14, the boy who one day painted the last supper found himself laying in Florence, apprenticed to the artist Andrea Verrocchio. He was invented by religious art from his master, but tragically for the last supper, he learned nothing about standard method of wall painting known as fresco. Verrocchio was such a specialist, did not practice his craft. Nonetheless, modern film noticed the growing fashion for the last supper scenes, painted in monasteries by fresco artists.
If you look at the Last Supper from the 14th to the 16th century, you can follow the history of art in a way. It's a because they move from the early representation that are reflected in the Bible to a more dynamic view of the same scene.
The first monumental sale last supper had been painted in Florence over a century earlier. It clearly shows the major problem seen posed for artists, with the apostles sacrificing their pieces.
Last Supper is a challenge and opportunity to display a variety of figures, all plausible and real alive in insights. So it's easy to place portraits in his paints, so people who are all bound together at the same time, all different, still individuals.
By the time Leonardo was 30, he was ready to try his fortunes away from Florence. One of the last paintings he saw before he left was probably the last supper, created from monastery of San Marco. It was state of the art, with three-dimensional space and lavish decoration, but the design was still stuck in the previous century. Now the artist was chamberlain, on his way north to meet his ideal patron, Ludovico the Moor.
Leonardo Vinci in 1494 indeed progressed into the fever of Ludovico's into a position of some portrait status, but he might well have felt his energies and abilities had not fully been used. So when the initial project of the Last Supper was begun, it was, I would say, a project which he regarded as something that would be
The last supper was a vital part of Ludovico's personal project to the monastery. The date of commission is unknown, but early sketches now that the castle show the artist still resting with the layout of this finished digital scene.
This is the only study for us, besides by the This is the only thinking of the layout of the composition. And he's still thinking the conventional term, you can see the Muslim faster with introduced on this one. It's still very early stages, not very accomplished, but a great leap of imagination planning brings very early on the composition as they managed to paint it.
The design chronicles entirely break with tradition. It reflects the close of Jesus' last supper with his disciples. The second meal, according to Mark's gospel, was a large upper room, furnished and prepared.
And as they did simply, Jesus said, Verily I say unto you, one of you which eat with me shall betray me. And they began to be sorrowful, and said unto him one by one, Is it I? And another said, Is it I? And he answered and said unto them, It is one of the 12 that eat with me in the dish. And as they did eat, Jesus took bread, and blessed, and brake it, and gave them, and said, Take, eat, this is my body.
And there was further more down to earth restriction. The design has complex sequence inside his dining room.
In the monastic refectories, traditionally, people eat in silence, and thus they don't have to cross each other during the conversation. Earlier painters showed you that as if the able Christ were the head table in the refectory, but then they disturbed that traditional arrangement by putting one figure on the near side of the table, where normally in a monastic dining room no one would be sitting, and that one figure was Judas. Leonardo himself starts thinking about that arrangement.
The artist's mind was a blank sheet of paper as he broke free from the past and began to reimagine the last supper. Some artists still use painting figures to help teach children, because its great daring was a mixed secret with the big kinds of humor. One breakthrough was to show some disciples rising to their feet while others stayed seated. Instead of being isolated, the apostles clustered in groups, reacting to each other as Christ. A tiny detail, realistic observed from life, was introduced into the Holy Bible.
One way to do this image, most of the contemporaries recorded. It's a very artificial construct. It's a stage performance. It isn't actors on the stage all playing their roles. Leonardo regarded viewing actors paintings very interesting.
The last supper's design took perhaps 2 years to develop. The result was an astonishing breakthrough from everything that had gone before. It was easy to list what did not change on the view. The apostles on their feet, their gesturing, their hands almost animated their faces. At the center of Christ, rather than being hemmed in before, sits alone and vulnerable. Bartholomew on the left rises up to his full height, the only figure entirely visible. Thomas, on the other hand, is represented in 4 tiny parts, 2 hands, a head, and originally, a foot. At the right, Matthew faces away from the scene 4, but sweeps his back with his arms, arranged as if playing musical instrument. On the right table, Judas, who before sat with his fellows on the near side of the table, is placed back behind it.
Whenever he pulls Judas back into the group, Judas is no longer a completely extraneous element. Betrayal is not any longer so glaringly different from discipleship. Indeed, by placing Judas in the same group free with Peter, disciple of Christ, John, disciple of Christ, betrayal becomes one of the dimensions of love, one of the dimensions of intimacy.
And the revolution did not end there. If traditional designs were out, so too was traditional painting technique. The making of the last supper began conventionally by hanging the plaster off a refectory wall. When the artist's assistants reached the stone, they began to build steps back onto this painting. First the clay was plastered on. It was on such a wet surface that all previous last supper artists working fresco were.
technique called process effectively into the wall, which makes it like master. And it's been tried across centuries, and nobody knew that was the way to do it. Leonardo was being frequently eccentric, like trying method, also trying method, but also method standards. In last time, he actually tried to organize the wall.
New ground is now being broken. As two completely untried layers were applied to the wall. One calcium magnesium held design, and one lead threaded brilliant, and another revolutionary fashion. The walls left to dry.
This is the wall surface on which Leonardo paint. It's smooth, it's dry, pretty unlike surfaces he worked on. And maybe he chose to do this because he wanted longer to actually work in his technique as a worker. I want to think I did longer.
The year was 1495, and last time was design, but last transfer on the wall reflected. First full scale drawings were used to transfer sections to the end, then the outline sketch in ready for draw. And finally, the technical design. A visitor, one Matteo Mandela, was an extraordinary eyewitness account of last time's creation.
Leonardo sometimes stayed at a long sundown, looking down his brush, fixing each drink, painting, and of course, he also sometimes remained for 4 days without touching his brush, standing on the work, arms folded, examining, criticizing himself. I was also waiting for my sunset urge, stand around his happening, pick up a brush, putting out 2 strokes, and then go away again.
Progressing in this sporadic fashion, the painting of the last time for the last 3 years. A letter from Leonardo shows the using efficiency of his forefathers. Urged Leonardo to find time to finish the work already begun, it says, making sign contract with his own hand. Braces were brought in to help paint the drawing. Finally, the last touch of oil were applied to the mural machine unknown in fresco, scaffolding dismantled, and there, in all its glory, was perhaps the finest narrative painting the world ever and would ever see. Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. A copy painted just a day after the original survives, gives us an idea of how vibrant and powerful it must have looked.
I think we've got now a dose of picture. We have then something which really amazing. Leonardo's capacity to paint colour and shadow together, to combine them to give a sense of volume and extraordinary impact. But all painting was new and done. His triumphantly convinced the viewer that what we're looking at was real.
Last Supper documented almost extended the room for which it was made. It was as if the fires themselves sitting down to dinner were quite as impossible. The painting secret was respected, tailor-made for the layout of the room.
I'm standing inside the refectory, and something very surprising happens. You wouldn't expect the illusion to work well, but what happens is that the corners in the actual refectory and the painted tapestries line up very, very strongly. And if you imagine originally we were in tables down the sidewalls amongst having our supper in this room, I think I just realised that the way the perspective works, which is very strange, is that that side of the wall lines perfectly, someone looking like that.
The fires, dining in silence, were then drawn into the sacred space of the mural. It creates a long-term conventional Christian beliefs, and you see the religious structure all around him. And this depth of knowledge is evident in every inch of the Last Supper.
Leonardo, like all paintings, would have easily seen, and as the artist certainly been impressed by the enormous dignity of Paul, figure Christ in the 15th century later. For the mentioned line billboard, it was the biggest image anyone could see in the Empire City. It shows body Christ in shape of cross, just wounds, Christ's crucifixion, and it is that very image, it's interesting he has in mind of the Christ of Last Supper.
The image of the crucified Christ is of course present in the same room as the Last Supper, depicted in the early fresco on the opposite wall. It continues the biblical story of the Last Supper, because the betrayal announced by Jesus at that meal leads directly and inevitably to his crucifixion.
If Leonardo's Christ lifted his gaze, which is inward turned in this mood of deep sadness, he lifted his gaze, he was looking at himself next to the cross.
The Last Supper overflows with symbolic riches. John, in the Gospel says Jesus loved best, mirrors his Saviour in the red door of his throat. Thomas the doubter raises his finger that will soon probe the wound of the risen Christ. Judas, traitor, turns away from the light, the only character with his face in shadow. The great painting succeeds in encompassing not just the betrayal announcement and blessing of bread and wine. It stretches and remakes time as it does space.
Leonardo summarizes the entire Testament in his one image. He summarizes the entire story of passion. He doesn't add all the things that. He doesn't show Christ riding on a donkey. He doesn't show waiting God. He doesn't show crucifixion. He just shows the moment in time. Everything's there. Everything, all passion's there. All intensity's there. Nobody ever again quite had confidence to do that.
The Last Supper was a triumph, but it created enough sign. Instead of the picture's name put around the rest of the wall, high above the refectory. Yet Ludovico would not have long to bask in his painting's glorious presence. Just 1 year after the Last Supper was completed, the Moors Julius past caught up with him. The French, who were literally claimed to be the land, invaded the city. Leonardo and his patron fled in opposite directions. Ludovico would probably never see his Last Supper again. He died in prison in France in 1508. The King of France was now ruler of the land. He soon visited the monastery. He was not taking the Last Supper. So much so the artist engineers were able to transport the entire wall wrapped in iron bands to France. It was not to be. The mural was intricately linked to the social which presided. This was to be its triumph and its tragedy. His story now becomes curious mix of unstoppable growth and equally unstoppable decay. Leonardo paintings often extraordinary from very early on. In a way, I think we've seen a similar character image. Leonardo is similarly seen as inspired by God, and so his own picture becomes that kind of miracle, that kind that needs to be propagated, that can be copied and revered in all range of different places. Copies abounded, and they in their turn were copied. And so the Last Supper began to spread around the world. But the painting held a dark secret. Deep within, it contains seeds of its own destruction.
As a painting surface unattached to a wall is fine, but if it's going to be attached to a surface that will come down, it is the beginning of the end for that wall painting. It's hopeless.
In ideal conditions, the Last Supper might have survived intact. But behind this wall was a monastery kitchen, coming up moist heat, and under it was the sea of the land's high water table. Down into the wall, and pushed upwards and outwards. A fresco will allow moisture out, but the Last Supper surface could not breathe, and the paint started to flake and detach.
Leonardo's role, in fact, was born with his technical experiments of failure. And so what happened was that it was still very young, it didn't after most of its history, and right now it is effectively intensive care. Experimental success, technical experiment, all the good faith intention was failure.
Less than 2 decades after completion, the painting started to spoil, and soon was described in more than massive blocks. Leonardo returned to retouch his masterpiece, being the great inventor could not find a way to stop the rot. A century on, celebrating the marriage John Evelyn visited the painting. This incomparable piece, he wrote, is now exceedingly impaired. The fires of the monastery obviously agreed. Believing the mural ruined, they boldly removed the shop from it by enlarging the door into the wall beneath. Christ's feet and quite a bit of sides were lost forever.
Leonardo's painting technique is no way out of the Last Supper. The work was ruined in one time. His contemporaries continued that. This is where the rest works. Normally, when painting to survive.
The Last Supper was rotting. Mold started growing, and soon it covered the entire surface. Curtains were hung over it when the humid Morocco wind blew, but still damp ran down like rain, and fires touched blind ladders slanted dry. And soon, the damage caused by nature was added damage caused by man. By the end of the 18th century, the land fell to Napoleon's armies. The French troops, not limited to religion and trappings, used the refectory as a staple meal store. They scratched the walls light out with daggers, and fell stones and spears, destroying the line painted gowns. The directly from Napoleon saved the painting. The refectory was bricked up, and the Last Supper in two. The painting by now really was a ruin, but when early artistic tourists found a way back into the abandoned monastery, they saw an image that held surprising appeal.
I think looking at Last Supper is a romance of Christian language, like this ancient news record, historic natural tackle. It's the original aspect, but sheer vitality of Christmas, really very surprising. So we somehow like this ancient appearance, a certain romance to it.
It came close to being romance of death. The Last Supper was also fragile, even touching the wall beneath it caused its paint to fall away. Early restorers, as brutal as sword and surgeons of their day, moved in.
We know from the recent campaign restoration that at least 11 campaign restoration were done on the Last Supper. And so at the end of the 20th century, we had the organization of 11 layers, like a cake and a cream and laid this on.
These early bundle restorations caused much damage to them and landless. Thick panel glue was used as inflating paintback. Each roller was running over the surface wire and the picture smooth, and canvas retouching to distort the apostles' faces. And this new composite work, fashionable prejudices were introduced.
The project on Judas shows to be a spiral dance, it is not criminal, because this is a thing which is exemplary of justice, how criminal Judas was actually using in this early restorators, each time they worked on the edge, they became more and more criminal and so stereotype. No concept of damaging lies on the evidence blockers branding more and gradually the restorations took the figure further and further, the intention to see in the project.
An original sketch shows Judas as bewildered, a man doomed to play a part. His vein bulging neck has been described by one critic as the neck of a man who will hang before the night is out. By the time Grand Tour was in full swing, the Last Supper became the most famous painting in the world and the star of the European art sector. Charles Dickens notoriously paid millions to visit, and the shock both at the commission and at the entrance of crowds of tourists. You recall seeing
English gentleman for was a great painter for animal convulsions of minute detail, which were left in for the Last Supper has been so retouched on and repainted, and that's so clumsily that many of the heads are now positive before it is.
but fame like decay has its own momentum, and parts of the Last Supper was by now unstoppable. And so the painting career towards the 20th century and a critical backlash. Bernard Berenson was a famous highly influential American art critic, and he published Leonardo's books on art, no expected controversy. But he confessed to a life feature of the Last Supper. Of painting cycles, he wrote,
What a pack of villains, gesticulating, noisy foreigners they are.
Berenson's times caused a storm, and angry letters were written in times. But the critic had his supporters. The American modesty of Wharton wrote congratulating on his forefathers.
Ever since I first saw it at 17, I wanted to bash that picture's face. And now, at last, the most authorized citizen in the world has done the job for me. Hooray!
Verbal sticks and stones after the military left of Napoleon's soldiers were hardly ahead of the Last Supper. The final dangerous weapons were to make After 4.5 centuries of precarious survival, the Last Supper came into total destruction during the Second World War bombardment of the land. As well as the painting's boy up in the Derrick House, and left without a roof over its head for 3 long years.
It's alive, it's endured centuries, it wasn't determined to die. Anything can end up couple enduring the war, exposed the air and wind for such a long time. You have to say, it just wasn't determined to die.
The rectory was rebuilt and the painting was again restored. But its dignity wasn't so easily reasserted. By the 1960s, much official religious authority had evaporated, and the Last Supper was fair game. From the small museum in Leonardo's hometown, Alessandro Vezzosi keeps line up public culture and the work of Vinci to celebrate the
Making several time series. Mistaken for mistaken for Leonardo. Sadly, explaining forms, very often into small categories. Lots of such is ongoing same process of Mona Lisa. It has become so widespread so familiar. It ends up really being seen in a particular way, but just as interpretation.
Some artists managed to pick up on the last time without putting it down. One of the celebrating controversial takes in Louis from Wells from Billy Here again, drunken Van Vegas reenacts the gorgeous stone trees. And the family opens the church, the film naturally condemned by that. High culture and low culture were having fun with the last supper, and soon one artist brought the two together. The most fragile particular artwork in the world came the raw material from master commercialism and reproduction, and war.
The last pursuit of painting's then world did between the last 6 months of his life was a combination of his career. And he took on as a monument that's known also as in the art world commodity as well as for globalizing the consumer world. Further, it was a monument that was disintegrated. And in a sense, through his multiple canvases, which were enormous, almost the size of the actual Last Supper fresco itself, he gave life through, and life through reproduction, just like he did all of his life.
Warhol produced nearly 100 artworks based on Last Supper, each uniquely modified, with company logos or newspaper headlines or camouflage patterns.
In a sense, I think it was that notion of belief in religion, which has no logic to it, and belief in art and notion masterpieces, which has no logic to it. And the two combined really in this work, which was ultimately his last major opera before his time of death.
And so the Last Supper managed to millennium, respected and spoofed in almost equal measure. An American fiction writer had ideas. Down around Australia, the Vinci Code has sold tens of millions of copies. More people read the book than have ever seen the original Last Supper in all its history. And the long part is a fantastic obsession. But the figure of Jesus is actually not St. John, but a very different character, Mary Magdalene.
It was without a doubt. Fina, can you say something?
Well, her features in Leonardo much softer than the other figures, not position.
Yes, my students, American playgrounds, and the read the book. The answer is all of it. Not of course. But most of the thing, the information of Leonardo is true. And the information of Last Supper is true. And that distorts their idea that art and the Renaissance history itself. I find this
One of the readers defined Dan Brown's extraordinary notions. Art historians unanimously rejected them. But just look at Leonardo's working techniques reveals the first detail. Dan Brown might seem to all be academic, as some truth. Experts long known that Leonardo used the same life drawing as based on one figure. When we propose to have his version of the rocks with that of St. John, we see that they match perfectly. This suggests that the version of St. John is based on the same life drawing as the same person. This might be a young male model, but Leonardo is not suggesting that Virgin Mary was really a man. Or it might be a female model, but this equates something that Last Supper St. John is to be viewed as a woman. I'm regarding Leo's meaning interpretation, copy and parody, and original remains, but only as a sector, I suppose. Perhaps now the last word of Last Supper belongs to the restorer, who helped the nurse painting health at the end of the 20th century. She spent nearly a quarter of her life hands-on contact with Last Supper, and knows it better than anyone.
I think I had to feel the previous restorations. There was time for example, which became completely painted and turned into a red roll.
Over a period of 20 years, King Maria stripped away these old paintings, flick by flick. The idea was to be on the wall and painted by the original artist's own hand.
The major separates the expressions of the apostles. When he falls, a man of certain age, let's say, with brown hair, the nose, and mouth closed and kind of appearance. He's changed completely.
Many of the apostles' faces satisfied, but as much as three-quarters of the original painters in the last centuries. So the Last Supper we see today is many painted in muted watercolours, applied by King Maria and her assistants to the vast areas that were otherwise black.
When I first came to the painting, I found it, I wouldn't say ugly, but opaque. It didn't move me at all. Therefore, slowly, I discovered so many little details, which made me realise what an indescribable genius Leonardo was.
Showing through a system of airlocks, visitors now come into the presence. They carry with them a lifetime exposure to images original they will see probably for the first time. 15 minutes is all they get to take in this first contact artwork, and then they will emerge into the world of copies and spoofs and spins, taking away some memory of this incomparable original, which is itself no more than a memory of his own greatness.